Hello and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. And today, Bob, you've brought something new, but also something that's not technically that new.
Yeah, it's the Corolla, but not as you know it. Corolla Cross, this one's called. So they've taken a standard Corolla, put it up on stilts, and changed visually the outside of the car with these plastic fairings. The front is different. Bit of a mix of it, like a Toyota Highlander, RAV4, bit of Lexus thrown in. The whole look of the car has changed, but it's still a Toyota Corolla.
So now we've got the Corolla hatchback, the Corolla saloon, and the Corolla estate. Yeah. And now the Cross. So
Corolla
four
Cross is in.
Different Corollas.
It is a good chunk more expensive than a standard Corolla. That's
so the normal Corolla is about 32 grand, let's say.
Now this one is the sport one, so mid-range. There's one range above this as well. So this one's about 42, but it starts at about 39. That's where you're actually going to start off. 39,000. Okay, now I've got a random question for you, and I know the answer. How many Corollas do you think since 1966 when they launched have been produced worldwide? It's got to be in the millions, isn't it?
Just take a pluck.
10 million. 20 million. Oh my God, is it up like 50, 60 million?
It's in around 50 million Corollas. So they're definitely doing something right. And in this review, we're going to find out exactly what that is. Spec is everything when it comes to cars, and it can be confusing for buyers.
Yeah, there is only 3 specs in Toyota usually. They've only got the kind of 3 versions. This is sports and mid-spec. There's a Sol, the very top spec, and then there's the entry-level Luna. So that starts the range off. And what do you get in the Luna again? Smaller wheels and stuff?
So Luna, I think, is 17-inch alloy wheels, but you also do get a lot of stuff like wireless CarPlay. You obviously get all your driving aids as well. So it's quite well spec'd. But then I think when you go to sport, I mean, you'll know from driving
Sport, you get a few bits more into it as well. You still get wireless Apple CarPlay, you get active cruise control, you get bigger wheels on as well, so it actually looks a bit more rugged on the outside. And then Sol, there's only 3 or 4 things in Sol. There's like a glass roof and wireless charging, I think.
Electric tailgate as well, which is nice and convenient, particularly if you have a family.
Heated seats are very important. I don't know why they didn't put them into the sport model. I think heated seats are far better than active cruise control and stuff, yeah.
One thing I love about Toyota and actually Japanese brands as a whole is they come quite well spec'd from factory. There's no massive options list. I think you can add like for €890 a tow bar, and that's nearly the extent of there's a few. I think there's a technology pack and a few small little things, but there's no huge. You can't go and spend €15,000 on optional extras. It's just nice and easy, 3 specs and a few things here and there.
Reliability is key as well. Toyota are legends of reliability. Also suspension. Suspension on Irish Toyotas is set in Ireland. It's set in the factory here in Ireland. And so they actually drive better on the road than most other brands of the cars because it's all set up for Ireland.
So under the bonnet, engine-wise, is there 2 or 1 option?
At the moment, there's a 2-litre petrol hybrid, but forthcoming there will be a 1.8-litre petrol hybrid, and there may be a plug-in hybrid version, which will probably be a 2.5-litre, which is what they're using in other cars. So you're going to end up with 3 engines eventually, but at the moment you only order a 2-litre. So
we've seen in the RAV4 it's a plug-in hybrid, and I personally like plug-in hybrids. You're not as much of a fan.
No,
I will say Toyota do an excellent job of a standalone hybrid.
They do. Toyota's been doing hybrid and plug-in hybrids for years, but the hybrids are around for 20 years now. So they know what they're doing. They did the Prius at the beginning. They know what they're doing with the hybrid. So if you're looking for just a straight hybrid, I don't know if Toyota can actually be beaten on hybrid part. Plug-in hybrid changes the matter because there's lots of batteries to go in, give you that extra range with more batteries. Efficiency-wise
as well, I think you can get like 5 litres per 100 kilometres or even less.
I'm getting about 4.8 out of this. This morning when I started now, it was like 19. On a really cold morning, it runs the engine, it runs it hard to heat the car up, to heat everything up. So you can't plug them in like a battery-powered vehicle. Plug them in to heat themselves up overnight. You can set it in the system. You can't do anything with this. It just comes on and heats itself up. But once I get out on the motorway, it's down now to about 5 litres per 100 kilometres, but it does do it, yeah.
And it is worth noting that even though they've been doing hybrids for years, they have obviously updated it and kind of made it more efficient. I think it's now a smaller, lighter, more efficient battery as well. So yeah, it definitely is a great option, and it's a Toyota. So as you said earlier, it should run forever.
Yes, that's a good claim. I'm sure Toyota won't tell you that. We'll go with that. Plenty of room in here for a bigger engine.
In terms of boot space, now this might be interesting for you if you're going for the Cross, because chances are you're there for some more boot space. Now, because this isn't the Sol, it's a manual boot lid. But anyway, you'll get used to that. Now it's actually a little bit smaller than the estate version, but it's still got 436 litres and it's quite well spaced out. Very little load lip here. There's a bit of storage under here, but more importantly, there's a spare wheel, which is brilliant. I love that in a car. I also love this load cover here. It just works very well. The seats fold in a 60-40 split. So as a whole, the boot's really good. Now, Bob, I want you to come in here for a second.
Okay,
because I drove up here behind Bob today, and I know we have both been singing Toyota's praises for reliability, because generally speaking it is. But have a look underneath at the exhaust.
Yeah, it's when you look at it, it's low, isn't it?
It's very low. I mean, I know this is a front wheel drive. It's not exactly an off-road car, but that seems like it wouldn't have very good ground clearance.
This is the worst part, people. SUV to me is a Land Cruiser, right? So that other end of the market is big 4x4, good ground clearance, good in and out areas. This is closer to a Qashqai, I think. These just look like SUVs, but they're not really SUV, or Hyundai Tucson, something like that. But that ground clearance stuff underneath, if you think you're buying an SUV or not, you're buying a two-wheel drive car with some plastic stuff on the outside to make it look more rugged.
So you won't be any better off in the snow. But actually, I don't have any children, but I did hear from someone recently, using an SUV to get a child seat in and out of is actually a lot more practical and easy to do than into a small car. So that could be another good advantage.
Also, disabled drivers or anyone has trouble lifting their hips in and out of cars, sitting down low into cars, SUVs win there. That little bit of elevation means you're getting across into the car rather than down into the car.
Absolutely. Anyway, let's go for a drive.
Yeah.
It takes two people to put that down.
It does, because there's no electric bit.
I'll go in the back, sure.
So driving the Corolla Cross feels just the same as the Corolla, but you do feel quite a height off the ground. The seats have a lot of travel up and down, so if you're a bit tall, you'll have no problem finding a seating position in this car. It does reduce the back leg room a little bit, which we'll talk to Dave about that, who's in the back right now, going to give us a rundown on what that looks like. But it does reduce that a small bit, but up here at the front, you're definitely in a standard Corolla. This one has the big touchscreen. There's a slightly smaller one that comes with physical buttons on the side. You'll spot that. But this one is a full touchscreen, which has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There is wired up front here, but it's USB-A only. And weirdly, it's USB-C in the back. So where you really need the faster charge, it's actually in the back of the car. You'll have to stretch the cable forward if you really want to. It has a eCVT box. The gearbox is in this, which doesn't really make a lot of noise, but the engine under load will make a lot of noise. So that's normal for CVT because it maintains the rev much higher than a normal gearbox would do. Ride quality in Toyota is always better because the suspension is sorted out in Ireland. And one other little tiny point is these cars are Japanese to begin with, which they drive on the same side of the road as us. So this is the way the car is made around in Japan, with everybody sitting on the right. Whereas a lot of German cars are built the other way around and then converted later on, so they drive a little bit different. This car feels like it was designed for a right-hand drive to begin with, and that's what I kind of like as well. Overall, I think this car really does a very good job of what equipment it's got. I'm not too sure whether I can decide that you should just buy a Corolla Estate and forget about the Cross one, or whether you need a Cross one. Let's check it out with Dave and see what he says.
Yeah, so back here, it is pretty nice. One thing I'll say is it's ever so slightly dark. I'm sure in the Soul having that panoramic sunroof would make a good big difference, but being a Toyota, the seats are very comfortable, and it's not just the shape of them, the fact that your legs can go out and then down, but also just kind of the padding. It's very soft. Right now we're on quite a bumpy road, and I'm not noticing it too much. In terms of other features, there's a little bit of storage here on the passenger side, but not on the driver's side. And then there's a USB-C charging point down here, which is also really, really handy. And then there's an armrest here with 2 drink holders, which is great. You won't get a massive bottle in there, but it does the job. And then, of course, the ice pick points are really easily accessible just behind that little lever there. So as a whole, it's a nice place to be. Now the all-important window check. How far to go down? Oh, that's pretty good. Your kids are going to love that. Driver, maybe not so much. So there you have it. What's your thoughts on the Corolla Cross, Bob.
I don't know if I could buy a Corolla Cross over a Corolla Sports Tourer because it's a Corolla State. Apart from the look is very good, very different. You could step up and buy a RAV4. You could look at the Highlander. They look kind of similar. Both of those cars are kind of similar.
It looks a little bit like a mini Highlander.
It does,
in some ways,
kind
doesn't
of,
it?
yeah. And I even when we drove in yesterday to collect it, I wasn't quite sure. When I looked at it, I went, is that the car? That's what it's supposed to look like. But that's what you're getting. It's mostly looks what you're getting. There's a $5,000 price walk between it and a Sports Tourer ordinary Corolla.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a Toyota. It gets your, I think it's a 5-year or 100,000 kilometer warranty. So it's just a very good package. It's just tough. Which one in the Toyota lineup do you go for? Let us know in the comments which you choose. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to search for Toyota dealers around the country, then hit the link up there. We've got over 1,000 trusted dealers nationwide. But that's it from myself and Bob today. Thanks for watching.
See you later.
And subscribe.